Thanks. So we have a very interesting topic, tech, I think everyone, I mean, it doesn't need any further
CEO of Gamestacy. We are a mobile gaming company building a social gaming metaverse for women. So around this question, I'll be more able to answer regarding the gaming industry in India versus the world and how it is performing. So the global gaming industry is around worth $220 billion. The global SaaS industry is around $204 billion. So combining all the SaaS market, the gaming is still bigger. But the Indian gaming industry is around 700 million and it has grown to 900 million, which is not even 0.5. While we are the fifth largest economy, we are still far away in the gaming, but we are growing at a speed of 30% growth rate.
Right.
So the gaming industry is growing. We know everybody's these days either gambling in games.
Hi, I'm Gautam, founder and CEO of Mad Influence. So if you ask me, I think I'll be more centric towards the creator economy, toward the influencer economy of the country. Wherever there are creators, they have access to tech. But however, when we right now, when we are trying to build a tech platform and get into the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and till 5, the biggest problem or the restriction that comes to us is that they know how to use the phone, they know how to use the internet, that is Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube. But what they don't know is how these platforms really function. And even if they know, they don't care, because end of the day, they only care about makes sense to them, that is money. So getting into tech will and always be a very big sort of a background support, like a backbone for all the agencies and companies like us. But it is we are still behind in terms of educating set of people, the right set of consumers, in my case the creators, that using the tech platform can help you grow more business. So I think more or less over the years, we as an organization, we as an industry will get there.
Mayank, I think in the last 8 years, the conversation has shifted from India to Bharat. And tech in Bharat, if you are into, real estate, commercial and residential, if I have to ask you, what is your sense of how Bharat is using tech? Are they doing it right compared to their urban counterparts? As far as your business is concerned, how do you see that?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mayank Kapoor from Bhopal. I'm the MD of Krishna. So coming back to the topic, see, our portfolio of our projects has variety and diversification, be it in terms of residential flats, plots, commercials, and villas. So, and we have in different sites as well, which are near to the rural areas, in the heart of the town, in a lot of places. But at the end of the day, we have realized that different customers have a different psyche. As you asked, what is the behavioral psyche? And the point is that in my particular field, if I am basically catering to the term of the person who is from the city-centric person, the right definition has been on the way of India to Bharat, because they have now started searching through Google the recent, if there is a prospect of a buyer, he wishes to buy a penthouse or a villa. But as far as the tier 5 or tier 4 is concerned, I have projects running in the districts outside of the Bhopal as well. Over there, you can't expect the client to basically search through Google where to buy a plot or a unit, maybe a flat. You can't depend on the magic bricks or 99acre.com over there. And you need to basically identify that the Bharat concept is basically on a right track, to be very honest, as they have started connecting the hyper-local network people with the national innovators. And so people have started, at least in the rural market and the suburban people, they have, the rural people, the upcountry market, they have realized the importance of using Paytm in a basic kirana store, in a basic general store. So at least they have started adapting using Paytm and GPay through, if you wish to buy a bread or butter. So at least the new generation has started, and India being the 65% of the population of India is under 35. So I guess if there is around 715 districts, more than 6 lakh villages, we still need to penetrate the market a lot by creating awareness. And in my field, it's still the word of mouth, the referral where किसी के चाचा ने कहीं से plot या flat लिया. So it's the relations which really matters in the rural market area. But eventually, it's a matter of decade. The platforms which have been used through artificial intelligence and a lot of transaction basis, people will get adaptability by using the technology, and then afterwards we can expect that 99 acres and magic breaks or lead search engine lead optimizations will actually give us good leads.
You've really raised a very important point, Mayank, that despite having access to tech, people still are not able to leverage or use it in the right way. For example, while searching properties, is also maybe about habits, how they are used to, and it will take some time. But I would definitely, with due respect to all people living in tier 2 and tier 3, I see, their involvement in digital when we go to Insta Reels. You see them, they're all there. So tech is, of course, prevalent, maybe used in a very limited way in those areas. That's what I could gather. Annanya, coming to you, where are you joining from, by the way?
I'm joining from Mumbai. I'm really sorry, Ruhail. I was really looking forward to being there today. Unfortunately.
Okay. Same question to you. How do you see the use of tech in urban centers versus the tier 2, tier 3 counterparts? A point was raised here that the tier 2, tier 3 markets use it. They have access, but they use it in a very limited way. What is your reading and understanding of their behavior?
So I mean, the gentlemen on the dais are much more informed about, I think, software and how we're using it in India than I am. So I'll leave it up to them to comment on that. But I mean, when we look at technology, we can look at a much wider range of technology here. I think hardware comes into the question as well. We have, as a country, so much innovation and so much thinking power. We're developing through our colleges green technologies every week that could change the world, whether that's in an urban city or in a rural center. And we see so many startups coming up that are green technology startups that are looking to solve issues with regards to urban waste, or what we call municipal solid waste. We're seeing startups that are looking to resolve issues around agricultural waste. And now, more recently, we are also seeing startups looking to fix what is probably amongst the lot, by far the largest issue, which is industrial waste. So I think coming together as a country, creating more technology that is able to have a much vaster impact on the future of the planet. I think today, no matter what you do, no matter what company you're in, ESG and sustainability has become a core function of how we have to think as a species. And I think India is not very far behind in sort of taking charge in terms of these things. While we are chasing this Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat mandate from the government, I think looking into the impact that we are having while we are looking for economic growth will become a huge driver for success and for profitability for the ventures that we take on as a nation, for the technologies that we develop, to make sure that we're developing safer and cleaner technologies for the future.
Wonderful. Danish, so enabling Bharat, if I ask you, how are you looking at the Bharat part of it? Have you made inroads into it? What are the broader limitations that you face while trying to expand into those? Because that's where the growth will come from, because we're already in a saturated kind of an environment. So what all headways have you made there, and what are the limitations that you faced?
Okay. So we are a company, we are saying designed by India, made for the world. We are trying to make mobile games for everyone, specifically for communities which are generally not welcomed in the past. For example, women gaming is rising, but why was it not rising in the past? Because it's like every time you book an Uber cab, your Uber wala is going to abuse you. it's a very toxic community. If you have played games or you have seen people playing games, they don't play with a very calm mind. They are aggressive, they are fiery. If you make a mistake, they are going to abuse you. Specifically for women and LGBTQ+, this is 7 times more. Another issue, women characters in movies and games are over sexualized. You can't identify a character which you don't want to identify with. This is another issue. The third major issue, the gaming industry is slightly biased in hiring women in the global gaming industry. And we are a part of Google Accelerator, where there is an initiative called Change the Game. So we are one of the 15 companies which is trying to make a better gaming ecosystem for the global gaming market for women and LGBTQ+ community. Are we are one of the Indian gaming companies? I would say the only Indian gaming company as per se. And the second thing is, if you say, how are we helping Bharat? We are bringing money from the world. So yes, that is one of the best ways also. My whole experience in the space has been around from tier 1 to tier 5. What are the different challenges we have faced with respect to the Indian community is language localization. I think one of the speakers in the past was all talking about localization. As low you go in terms of level of literacy, the more you need to localize with words which are very similar to the user. So this same challenge we face, because every time somebody abuses in Hindi or in local language, we can't stop it. And we have to stop it on our social platform. So that is one of the key areas. I think localization, which is what is happening right now, has to happen at a massive scale, and also take into account whether somebody is being harassed or abused or facing any challenges. This will not only help the gaming industry, but this will help every other industry, from Swiggy, Ola, Uber, Zomato. If you can record a call and you can see your driver has abused you, quickly Uber can be informed. This can actually help every other industry. So I think localization in terms of an abuse-free localization system is what I feel is needed for all industries in general, to make sure tier 1 to tier 5 can also enjoy the experience like we all do in like tier 1 cities.
But I mean, this is a very progressive idea at the same time, and normally a lot of progressive ideas are centered in urban areas sometimes, and of course in tier 2, tier 3. But do you think such ideas people are ready to accept it and see these change characters, in a tier 2 and a tier 3 setup?
So definitely tier 2 and tier 3 has been challenges, because we are not able to reach that scale of localization which is abuse free. We have worked with a company, we are partnered with a company called Bodyguard AI, which literally translates to all major global languages to make sure nobody is even trying to threat anybody inside a game, whether it's voice or text. So now we have to take it to Indian languages, which is extremely diverse. So I think I will come in India after like 2030, when we will have like great localization system from Boba AI and other localization experts. And it might be a challenge, but Hindi definitely we are targeting Hindi speakers and major English speakers who can understand Hindi and who can speak in Hindi, who can read and write Hindi, or who can write English in Hindi. Yeah.
Gautam, give me your idea of reaching out to tier 2, tier 3. I mean, how important is that, market for you? Have you made inroads into that? What are the bigger limitations that you faced while trying to, reach out to those? Yeah.
So in my scenario, because as I said, I work with the creator economy, I work with the influencer economy. My challenge has always been that we don't have local offices. It is always virtual. Whatever we say, whatever we do, whatever we work with these influencers or creators or the entire economy as a whole is always virtual. And as a real estate friend was talking about that, no matter how much you go on 99 acres or magic bricks, end of the day, you have to come and see the home, right? So that is one of the major challenges that we as a not only we can say that this is not a challenge. It is not a big challenge. It is one of the ways how to do business. Second is in terms of tier 2 and tier 3, the amount of volume of business that has versus tier 1 is much more exponential in nature. It's much more valuable in nature, and it's much more humble in nature. Like I was surprised to see. So Moj and Josh, and after TikTok, the ban of TikTok, there was a lot of new Indian apps that came in the short video space, right? Leaving Instagram and YouTube aside. What we realized, and I think it is the power of the Indian community, that is Instagram on YouTube as a platform for consuming content. You see a lot of hate speech, you see a lot of aggression, as he was mentioning, because that's how the ecosystem is built. You're always fiery, you're always like, you can speak whatever you want, and it's mostly you're saying something that you're not believing in, versus the platform that was really built for tier 2, tier 3 cities, that is Mod, Chat, Josh Daily Hunt. What we saw was the person is more empathetic towards the creator or towards the content. One simple example was one person was was on a wheelchair and creating content, versus the same person being on the wheelchair without taking the name, was creating the content on YouTube. That person was getting a lot of shameful comments versus the comments that were on that app. So that actually brings to a situation where how do we how are we growing as a tech country? Are we focusing on just growth, or are we focusing on growth plus ethics? So I think with ethics involved, these norms and these culture automatically builds in. It's not that that person is bad, saying that he's not saying something on this platform, but he's saying something on that platform. But this platform's tech is such a robust tech that makes the community feel much more in harmony versus the other space. So yeah.
We have very valid points here. And Mayank, you raised you've spoken about the limitations that you have in smaller markets, which is about leveraging the tech in the proper way. But, apart from those skills, it's also about mindset. It's also a mindset shift. Say people have come to pay digitally. That's come, but there are a lot of other things people still are wary of. How do we make that mindset shift possible so that the tech shift also happens? How is that? How can that be an enabler?
So basically, I feel there are 5 pillars for it. So the first is the population. Since I told you that we are one of the youngest countries of India, our future is basically of youth. We need to create basically more opportunities for them by providing artificial intelligence in their curriculum, by creating more incubation centers in their colleges and universities. And the government has to create more schemes as well, so as to promote affordable, accessible artificial or maybe the technology, so that the technology can be used in an innovation which can be implemented. And as far as implementation is concerned, tier 4, tier 3, tier 5 people has to include it. So it's innovation and inclusion. We forget about the inclusion of tier 4, tier 5. And then apart from that, you need to understand that you need to create the second pillar is of infrastructure, not just of physical, but of digital infrastructure. Once you create a digital infrastructure, by suppose if you have digital smart highways, you have smart villages, you have 100 smart cities, you realize the potential of, as my fellow speaker said, that you realize the potential of a lot of citizens, youth, which are still to be tapped out. And the third point which I feel is it's the pillar of demand, especially Bharat, the technology term which has been used these days through the Ministry of Information and Electronics and Information Technology, through my government, they have created a Bharat app, and through which they create challenges in the form of, say, biotech challenges, in the form of, say, COVID challenges, in the form of Atal New India Mission challenges, and through which they can actually see who are the people in even the rural areas, if they get a right guidance through the incubation centers, or maybe through the startups, maybe they are working somewhere, or maybe through the curriculum, they are getting better and better to actually create solutions for those challenges. And then once their app is basically a challenge and solution oriented process where they are actually providing the services centric to the citizens, then they have that potential, not just 1.3 billion of the country, but also to the 7 billion people of the world, because it's like the sky's the limit for them. And socio-economic factor is very important, I must tell you, because we all talk about a lot of digital perspective, but digitalization is impossible if you're not going with the rapid economic growth as compared to the societal growth. The rapid economic growth has to surpass the economic societal growth, because it's the gender inequality. And a lot of times in tier 4 and tier 5 cities, you will find that the disparity of the economic balance is really concerning. And the challenges, we have to create the opportunities for the differently challenged communities as well. They are being left out. So when we talk about tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, just take an example of a rural farm, a person who's a farmer, and through the feedback, he can get he can give a lot of insights what he is basically facing through in the term of soil, what kind of soil he has, what kind of fertilizer he is using, what kind of the crop he is basically focusing on. And then on that basis, the data analytics of a lot of companies which are manufacturing in this field, they can have a data, okay, Uttarakhand mein ye soil mein ye particular cheezein mein ye focus karna chahiye, in Northeast we should focus on that. And through that, data analytics can be helpful for the companies working for the tier 5 citizens products.
But it will take a while to make him understand.
But we have to start right now.
Exactly. I mean, yes.
If one's not
so
started, he'll get late.
Economic, prosperity shift will happen only after a mindset shift, right? And then the tech shift will come in. Annanya, what is your story of your focus on Bharat? And what are the limitations that you have faced?
Lovely. That's a lovely question. I'd love to elaborate a little bit. We are creating sustainability solutions to help India grow in a more environmentally friendly manner. Our impact is currently 40,000 tons of waste that was previously going in landfills. We are now completely processing. In a couple of weeks from now, we'll be at 100,000 tons of waste. 3 years from now, we hope to be at 300,000 tons of waste. We have very aggressive growth parameters. But to answer your question, maybe I'd like to bounce off what fellow panelists have said. Danish mentioned enabling women. At our company, we are at 60% diversity workforce. And Danish, this is not because this is not some altruistic venture. We believe that women increase the integrity and the productivity of our company. That's why we've taken a decision to keep, and that too being from the industrial sector, by far the highest percentage of diversity employees in our workforce, both at management, senior management, and at the shop floor, at all 3 levels. Gautam spoke about growth and ethics. I think this is the core of what we are trying to enable. We are trying to enable the industries of our company to grow as fast as possible, to be as aggressive as possible in their approach towards creating jobs and boosting the economy. But unfortunately, when we take decisions to create jobs and boost the economy, the thing that tends to suffer is our planet, our environment. The amount of, just to give you an understanding, there's so many companies working on urban waste. This year, the entire planet will generate around 2 billion tons of what we call MSW, municipal solid waste. But to give you an understanding of industrial waste, just in America alone this year, we will generate 7 billion tons of industrial waste. So industrial waste is an exponentially larger problem than urban waste. And I think to enable industry, there has to be technology in place that allows them to convert waste to wealth, that allows them to convert all their waste into valuable products, saleable products, products that are not going back in harmful ways into our planet. And I think that ethical nature of growth, I think that is being inculcated today. If you look at the PE funds and the VC funds in India and around the world today, when you go to speak to them, you will not leave the meeting without being asked a question about your ESG, about your footprint, about your practices. So I think ethical growth has become a huge enabler for the country. And Mayank then spoke about enabling our youth. And at the end of the day, I think that's what it all comes down to. That's the next generation of leaders in the country. Even at Runaya, our average age is 25 years. 35% of our workforce is freshers straight out of college. We're picking these young, talented, ambitious kids, and we're saying, what do you want to do? You want to handle a massive project we're undertaking to convert our entire power requirement to renewable? Go ahead, take responsibility. We'll all support you. We're all behind you. If things go wrong, it's on us. If things are going well, you take the credit for it. So I think I just mirror the views of our panelists.
Right. So we have 2 minutes, and my last question, starting with you, Danish. So urban centers have one advantage, that it looks similar. The market is almost, there's a kind of similarity in the way you have your customers, a likeness. But as you move on, for every 5 kilometers, there's a complexity in terms of language, in terms of customs, and the market becomes more complicated, as well as gives you more opportunities. Do you agree it gets more complicated and gives you more opportunities? That's my question. A quick answer, 1 minute.
Yeah. So in our case in gaming, how do we resolve this kind of issue where language becomes a barrier? Culture becomes a barrier. You just use icons and try to show them what they do have to do on mobile. We give them hints through icons. We don't use text at all. So it's called no text based or no language based game. This is one thing which works very well, whether it's in India, localizing from tier 1 to tier 5, or whether even globally, if you want to do at scale without taking language into consideration at all. Thank you.
Gautam, how do you see this complexity?
So I think this is what I said in the previous one, that was having local centers with the local experts, having their languages, and of course making sure that to enable the physical touch, but also making sure that the tech is so robust to understand different forms of language, different variations of language. So yeah.
Mayank, does this diversity create more opportunities or more complexities?
See, if there's no complexity, there's no opportunity. So there has to be interconnected. There has to be linked. So the more complex situations there will be, the more opportunities one can actually knock on the doors. And technology is such a thing that has always been considered as till 2016, before the geo era, to be very precise, that it used to be with a limited area, but now with better coverage and better connectivity and better access, I guess most of the people now are willing to actually adapt and improve themselves by basically trying out and looking up to a new perspective. They have almost lived their life in a position where they were not being in control of the power of their own decisions. But now through the technology, they can have at least their own opinion and their own decision-making power. So I'm pretty sure that in a matter of time, this complexity and opportunities will be better for the future of India, as we have to create in-house substance for the global market, not just for the Indian market. And our own citizens has to provide the solutions for their own ones.
Right. Final words, Annanya, on this diversity, opportunity and complexity.
Sure. I mean, we live in the country that has amongst the most diversity on the planet. We can meet two people from India. We don't speak the same language, but Ruhail, I only see opportunity. Even in our organization, we have a mandate to have employees from every corner of the country. We have employees from Jammu, from the northeast, from the south, and from the west, and from the middle. We believe it brings huge diversity in thinking and perspective. And when you put together a group of people from the same country with the same vision to make the country stronger, to take the country forward, but with such diverse perspectives and experiences in life, I think it can only bode well for the future of our country.
All right, with this, it's over to you, Aditya, and thank you, esteemed speakers, for your time and sharing your thoughts.